The Ashes is done and dusted. Australia have sealed the series 4-1, winning the final test by 5 wickets. And just like clockwork, the verdict from large sections of the cricketing world has been loud and rather unforgiving. Bazball has failed. England must rip it up and start again. But is tearing everything down the right response, or would that be the most damaging knee-jerk reaction England could make at this point? What can England truly take away from this series, and how should they tackle the road ahead, the next series, with the same blind vigor that they've shown so far, or an altered approach? Now, let's be honest, this Ashes series did not go according to any script of any of the England team or management. What we saw instead was a team overflowing with a lot of promise, but falling short on execution. England spoke big. They played brave, but repeatedly failed to land the decisive blows. Ownership was missing, game awareness was rather patchy, and adaptability, arguably the most important trait in Australian conditions, not quite there. After being thoroughly outplayed in the first 2 tests, England doubled down instead of course, course-correcting. The coach said that they were over-prepared. The captain insisted margins were narrow, that they were neck and neck with Australia, when reality was far more brutal. Bazball wasn't flexible, it was doctrinal. Then came the Noosa episode, the now infamous team bonding trip that spiraled into bad optics, poor timing, and widespread criticism. Suddenly, England looked defeated by more than just the scoreline. A travelling circus rather than a focused test side. That's why experts are demanding a drastic change.
The way that England play, that Bazball method, hasn't worked because they haven't won the big series. So it's acceptance from the management, the leadership group, and the ECB that things need to change.
A fair critique that, but here's where perspectives matter. Because from the 3rd test onwards, something shifted. England didn't abandon their intent, but they sharpened it. Started putting in their performances required. They won that 4th test. They fought till the final day of the 5th. Australia still won, but England were no longer passengers here. Joe Root, who had never scored 100 in Australia before this tour, produced 2 centuries, including a masterclass at the SCG. Harry Brook, long billed as an all-format talent, delivered under sustained pressure. And then, of course, came Jacob Bethell, calm, composed, battle-ready, a product of modern exposure. Of course, the IPL too, standing tall in hostile conditions. Even with the ball, there were some positives to take back. Josh Tongue showed a lot of heart. Bryden Cass added some bite. England weren't dominant, but they ended up competing at least. It showed Bazball wasn't the problem, but believing Bazball was untouchable, that surely was. England failed not because they played aggressively, but because they assumed aggression alone would be enough. That's all that was required. Australia forced them to confront a simple truth. Intent without adapting and practice skill is only arrogance. And that's where the real shift has already begun.
I'm not pig-headed enough to think there's not some areas that we can improve on. And once we digest what's unfolded over the last 2 months and start to plot and plan a way forward, we will do with a similar conviction in our methods.
This signals something England desperately needed. Some humility. The coach who once claimed his side was overprepared is now openly talking about evolution. And that's exactly what England need right now. A wholesale reset would be reckless. Mass sackings would only undo progress. That's what inexperienced sides, obtruse minds really opt for, an absolute shake-up. That's not what we're saying. Tearing up the philosophy would drag England back to square one. This team doesn't need to forget who they are. They just need to understand when to be who they are. Bazball should be a weapon, not a religion. The Ashes have given England some clarity towards that. Now the challenge is whether they use it, because strong teams don't collapse after defeats. They course correct. They forge ahead with knowledge. That's what losses give you. And if England choose reflection over reaction and adaptation over ego, growth over denial, this Ashes loss might just become the foundation for something far stronger. Sometimes losing the right way teaches you more than winning the wrong way. And it is time England listens to that.
The world doesn't fit in boxes, so why should your news? From battlefields to negotiation tables, from internet outrage to real-world injustice. conversations everyone is having and the ones they're avoiding. It's the same show, but this new year, Firstpost America gets a new look. I'm Kerry Johnston, and this is Firstpost America.
Want the facts?
The latest developments?
News that gets straight to the point.
Well, we've got all three just for you. This is Firstpost Live, a brand new show, your window into what really matters.
Don't miss it.